All right, so we got a very special session coming up next. We're going to get right rolling into the next one. So how many of you have ever brokered a note? Show of hands. Okay, how many of you would like to learn how to broker notes? Show of hands. Okay, you're in the right room. All right, so we're going to do that, and then we have a little something special prepared towards the end of our next speaker's presentation. So it's my pleasure to introduce this next speaker. She's not only a friend, I've gotten to know her wonderful family as well. They recently moved from California over to Nevada. Just a great family. Wealth of information when it comes to brokering notes, seller finance, owner carry stuff, and working on the manufacturing of notes, working on how to stay in the deal when brokering notes, and how to source them, figure out how to bring the investors in and work with them. And I think you're really going to enjoy this session that's coming up next. So as you can see, we got the Note Queen, as she goes by now, and she'll tell you probably the story of how that came about. So notequeen.com. And it's my pleasure. Please give a warm welcome, huge round of applause to Mrs. Dawn Rickabaugh. I'll do a little dance for you.
Thank you.
Here you go. See? Electrifying.
Okay, thank you so much.
Green button goes for it. Yep. Big green button.
Well, thank you so much,
Here.
Aaron and Travis, for... Oh, thank you. Can you open it for me?
I sure can. I'd love to. I'd love to.
It's really a pleasure to be here. I feel honored that Aaron and Travis would give me a few minutes on the stage and that you would sit here and listen to me for a few minutes. I hope that by the time I'm done, I may have given you one or two ideas, but more importantly, I hope I inspire you to take some action that you've been wanting to take but haven't yet, and maybe the reasons why.
Big green button. That's amazing.
Oh, big green button. Well, okay, gotcha. All right, but just in case I get to the end of it, I got to tell you what I do, because at the end of some of my presentations where I think I've been so transparent and educating so well, people go, yeah, but I still don't know what you do. So let's just get that out of the way right now. I buy and hold seller carry paper, mostly. I started out brokering. Now mostly what I do is buy and hold seller carry paper. And I don't know if everyone knows what that is, but we're going to make a little introduction and kind of create a framework for where what I do fits in with what Aaron and Travis does and a lot of people at this conference. I sell off partials to other investors who want to get involved in notes. Because, right, I ran out of my own money. Frankly, when I started buying notes, I'd already blown a lot of my own money recreating myself from W-2 to entrepreneur. So I didn't have a lot of my own money left. I had to partner with other people. Sell off partials to other people who want to get involved in notes. I buy and sell property with owner financing. Once you understand buying a note, you understand asking someone to carry a note for you and carrying a note for somebody else. It's all two sides of the same coin. I do make some private loans, depending on the area and the circumstance, and sometimes I wrap those. I don't know if people here yesterday, hearing Walter Wofford talk about wraps, very powerful for creating yield and more safety for my underlying investor. I do a lot of consulting. When someone's doing owner financing and they want to have a note worth holding or selling at the end of it, they say, Dawn, can you help me out? I build community. I'm very passionate about this conversation. Hopefully I'll get into that at the end and won't run out of time. I train people. I support people. What I want to do in the next 10 years is somehow I want to make a difference. I want to leave a legacy. And I want to live tax-free out of my Roth IRA with tricks that I've learned from hanging out with Walter and Quincy and people that are way smarter than me. Okay. Here's the framework. Property sellers. Any of you property sellers? Or will you be, or have you been? If you understand notes and owner financing, you're going to do better at this. Anyone been a property buyer? If you understand owner financing and notes, you can do more stuff with buying property. Anyone a passive investor or want to be? Okay, that's banks, right? Private lenders, people who loan money, people who carry back paper on their own property, and then the note buyers who buy on the secondary market of that. Okay? Here's a very balanced trio, right? Then we've got professionals. These are the investors. Then we've got professionals. We've got real estate brokers trying to make money between sellers and buyers of property. We have mortgage brokers trying to make a living between the passive investors and the property buyers. And then you got note brokers who make money between owner will carry sellers and note buyers. So I just want to show you how all of this fits together and how balanced this can be if you understand. Just get your head around owner financing and notes. It's so important for you to understand. No matter which dot you're going to be standing on. I hope you're standing on all of them at different times, right? Okay, now let's just talk about passive investors. We're here to create cash flow, right? Who wants their passive income to exceed their expenses at some point in their life? Okay, move to Nevada. It helps decrease your expenses. And live simply. Invest a lot and live simply. Passive cash flow investors, right? We got banks who lend money. We got private lenders who lend money. That could be any of you in this room. We got people who own property that have equity. Equity is simply the money that's locked up inside the house, right? They loan their equity. This is the primary mortgage market. This is where notes are created. You can be in the note business at all of these levels. On this level, right? Primary. Front door into the note. The banks, under normal circumstances, and I guess still right now, they sell to Freddie and Fannie, the secondary market, right? They sell off their notes. But increasingly, and why a lot of you are here, obviously, is you're buying. You're buying notes, you're buying and brokering notes from the banks, right? Lots of non-performing stuff, some performing stuff. Also, you could buy secondary paper. I've had private lenders that said, I just need out of my position. So you could buy that on the secondary market. The big thing what I'm going to be talking about today is the note business, as seen on infomercials for decades, is, so this is where the little, okay. This is where I function, okay? This kind of paper, buying it here. Okay, I don't mind being up here, buying with owner financing, selling with owner financing, and creating that paper. There's a lot of profits doing that. But I'm doing a lot of this right here, okay? And buying here, and I'm doing some lending, and any of you in this room can do this, like tomorrow or today. Okay. Now, some people I've been told this is kind of their first introduction to notes. So please bear with me if you're a seasoned investor. And if you're seasoned, you're probably in some other room anyway. Or you're just needing some entertainment, wondering how much of a fool I'll make of myself while I'm up here. Okay, so here's a house. A seller has a house. Let's say they own it free and clear. It's a free-range, non-GMO house. It's worth $100,000. And the buyer says, I either can't or I do not want to go to the bank, but I got a chunk of change. I'm going to give you $20,000 down. Will you carry the note for me? Will you offer terms, accept terms? And the seller says, okay, that sounds like a good deal, $20,000 in the bank. Buyer gets title to the property. It's a real transaction. The seller gets a note. The buyer promises to pay that $80,000 he still owes according to the terms of the note. So let's just say it's $800 a month. So the buyer promises to pay on this note every month. They make the payment. But the seller says, just in case you don't keep your promise, sometimes do people accidentally can't keep their promises, lose a job, and then sometimes on purpose they don't keep their promises? We're going to have some security. This is the deed of trust or the mortgage, saying if you don't keep your promise, I get my house back. I'll keep your $20,000 and all the payments you've given me so far, and I'll get my house back. The buyer is the named insured on the hazard insurance policy. The seller is the lender, right? He had the buyer or the owner's hat on, then he switched it around and, Yeah, he's a gangbanger. He turned his hat around backwards, and now he's the bank. He's the bankster. Okay, so he's got to be the mortgagee on the lenders, on the insurance, right? Mortgagee on the hazard insurance. Also get a lender's title policy. Most owner-carry sellers forget that they're lenders, and they forget to get the lender's title policy. So if I ever buy a note at that point, then they have to buy it. It's just an extra expense. So this is something that's much cheaper and better to do right at the beginning. Now, if here comes the note buyer, or if you're going to broker, how many people in here goes, yeah, I'm going to be a buyer, I'm going to be an investor, but right now I just need some cash. I need to make some cash so I can live and pay groceries and save money to buy notes. Okay? I was there, right? I need to make money. I need to broker. I need chunk change. So if you're thinking like a broker or a buyer, you come in and you find this seller who now has this $80,000, maybe it's $78,000 by now, but now they need $60,000 to send little Johnny to Harvard or something, I don't know, or a medical bill, right? They want out. They're moving to Panama. So the note buyer comes in, or the broker, and says, we'll give you $60,000 for that $78,000 note. So you get this money, Mr. Seller, note seller, and you're going to assign the note over to me, and you're going to assign the deed over to me. I'm going to become the lost payee on the insurance policy, and I'm going to be covered under the lender's policy. And so then I sent a little letter to the payer and says, hello, send that nice little $800 to me every month. Now, because I bought the note for $60,000, am I making, to get $800, am I getting a more or less yield than what's on the face rate of the note? More, right? The less I pay. If I paid $40,000 for that note, my yield would probably be double, right? And you don't know these things until you use the financial calculator. So that's why you have to use a financial calculator. You have to become a geek. At night, when you wake up at 1 in the morning, I want you to get your iPhone, pull up that little app, Day Development, and start playing with it. It's, you have to be that, you have to love the financial calculator. And once you learn how to use it, you will fall in love with it. Okay, so that's basically the note business right there. That's where the seller carry. Any questions so far? Where seller carry comes from, what it is, how it fits in with the rest of the note business. Normally, I buy performing notes. Sometimes they go non-performing. So you do need to know these strategies. I learn a lot from hanging around the non-performing people because, sometimes my stuff goes non-performing. I've probably got 5 right now in some stage of wonkiness, right? So all this, you need to master all these skills. And once you do, you don't get afraid. I know the people. I know the friends. Okay, I got this problem. Now what do I do? The title of my speech is Insider Tip on how to broker notes. Just one tip. They thought I was going to give tips. It says Insider Tips. I'm only going to give 1 tip, and I'm not even going to give it yet. Okay. But the thing, when I was writing up this slide, the thing that popped out at me the most from that slide? The word insider. I thought, oh my God. Oh, sorry, I'm not supposed to swear. I'm an insider. How did that happen? I'm like, oh my goodness. Because, here's the deal. I went to school to be an RN, 4 years, started working in ICU, moved up to ER as quick as I could, because that's where I wanted to be. I was doing well, and then after that, I even had a paperwork job that paid me even more than working in the ER. But, I was on the insider then of the W-2 world. I had fat cow years. I was working 3 days a week and making over $100,000 a year as a nurse. Those were my fat cow years. Were you guys paying attention in Sunday school? Joseph gets sold into Egypt, right? Do you guys know where the fat cow, skinny cow thing's coming from? Come on, a few nods, right? Okay. I was doing well, except for what? Sometimes when you're a fat cow, you have arthritis and things like that. I started getting old. I needed to make a change. I said, I think I can do something more. But I was on the inside, and I was comfortable. I was in my cage. How am I going to get out of the cage of comfortable W-2, job, work, pay? I was inside on W-2, but I always felt, for so long, I felt like I was on the outside looking in to the note business. From the mid-90s, I was kicking the tires. I was going to all the noteworthy things. I was just a wannabe, right? I still had raising all the babies, got 4 babies, 2 mortgages, 4 kids, a couple dogs, 2.5 maybe. But I always felt like on the outside, I felt like I was such a slow learner, like I was on the short bus. Like my grandpa, he used to say, why is it you guys go to that slow school? Why do they have that slow sign right by your school? Why do you go to the slow school? I felt like I was on the slow school with getting into the note business. So here I am comfortably inside my W-2 job. In this case, it's a plane. Now, my youngest, when she turned 21, says, I want to go skydiving. And I'm going, okay, let's go. So there she is jumping out. And I needed something to force me out of my W-2 job, right? Why would you jump out of a completely good plane? Why would you leave a $100,000 job? Why would you? Oh, you're just miserable, you're dying? Oh, that's all right. Who cares? People do that all the time. Well, I don't have time to tell this story, but Jesus pushed me out. Now, this guy who I'm jumping tandem with, he's not Jesus, but he could have been. For all intents and purposes, he had my life in his hands at that moment. But I got confirmation that it was time. Time to jump. Go. Overnight, I quit my job. And it was so blissful because I just knew that the universe was there supporting me. I just knew it in my soul. That dream that I had is still as vivid now as it was 10 years ago. And I started to do the note business. I started to track it, trace it, little bit by little bit. And all I came across at that time, which was 2005-ish, 2006, bad notes. What's a bad note? One that I had the dickens of a time brokering. I would sort of find these things, but I could not get anyone to buy them. It was so hard. I was so frustrated. I started to go, this is freaky. I don't have my income. I had a little bit of a nest egg, most of which I used up to recreate myself professionally. Remember, slow school? Spent a lot of money remaking me. It was a little hairy. Anyone relate? Transitions can be hairy. Either you push yourself out or life happens, right? It's freaky. It takes a lot of faith. These were skinny cow years for me. That's a lot of stress. Went through a lot of money. And then, I don't know if any of you were lucky enough to know this man, Henry Dvorkin from Wichita Falls, Texas. Beautiful man. Okay. He just supported me for some reason. He just said, oh, I just wish my daughter, it's so great that there's women in the business. And he just became like a father figure to me. And he was such a gentleman. And he just kept saying, Dawn, don't be brokering notes. Do not try to broker notes. I go, but Henry, Dawn, buy notes. Buy notes. And I said, Henry, I'm scared. Like, I've been studying and hanging around as a wannabe for over 10 years, right? Going all along, kicking the tires, looky-looing, sort of trying. Dawn, buy your first note. And I'm like, okay, Henry. And he held my hand through that first thing. I don't know why it was so scary. It was scary. I got a friend of mine who said, yeah, I'll put up the money. Let's do it. That changed my life. That's when the parachute opened right there for me. That switch from broker mentality to buyer mentality. I didn't think it would work. But in 18 months, I was back to fat cow. Now, fat cow for me was passive income that covered the P&I on my mortgage. Whew. Oh my goodness, that was a change. Okay, then it started having fun. Now, here's the thing. If you're not having fun and you don't love what you're doing, it's going to be such an uphill climb, right? If you get in alignment with what you love and you clear out a lot of the garbage that's going on in your mind, then it's going to be fun. And it's like rowing downstream instead of upstream. You know, in some of the Aboriginal, Native American cultures, if someone goes out to hunt and they can't find anything, do they come back and go, they don't come back and go, there's just nothing out there. Market conditions are bad. No, they go to the shaman and they get balanced with their energy and says, what's wrong with me that I'm not attracting what I need for my family, for my village? Right? Do you guys agree? It's an inside job, because what I learned is we're always jumping tandem. Even when my ears were popping and I was freaking out, you know, at about 13,000 feet, I felt alone, but I was never alone. And we're never alone. There's so much love and support. That is what I learned. When I stay focused, when I try to get the yah-yah out of here and stay focused on what I love and my purpose, then things line up and it's fun and it's easy. All right. The owner carry paper. Would you become the bank? Time is going quick. Okay. If you had a rental income, this is a lot of people now, when they own property, this is what they'll do. If you own property, here's why it might make sense for you to become the bank instead. Taxes and insurance are $500. Your net monthly cash flow is $2,700. There's the hassle. This is a mixed-use property. This is one of my first consulting clients a few years ago. And they said the buyer, who's been renting from us for 14 years, wants to buy the property so that he can create long-term wealth for him and his family. And I want them to have that. Interest rate, we crunched and reverse engineered these numbers so that he would have the maximum present value of his note if he ever needed to sell it. He didn't want to sell it. He still has that note. I know, because I don't get to buy it. I wanted to buy the note. Okay? Monthly payments, $5,300. Can you see how he doubled his passive income by carrying paper? No taxes, insurance, or repairs. And guess what? That family now has a chance soon, you know, in 12 years they're going to own that property free and clear. What's that going to do to their monthly cash flow? They're going to create security and stability. They're going to spend money in their local community. This is big stuff, right? It's good for them. It's good for both sides, right? Here's a small mobile home note deal that I just did 2 weeks ago. Okay, the seller goes in, buys these little properties, fixes them up, and then sells them on terms. Gets over her financing, but she needs her money back to go do the next deal. So she wanted to sell the note. She sold it for $24,000, and I'm always going, what little deals can I put in my mom's IRA or my IRA? Because I just started these things last year. They're not huge amounts of money, right? Face value of the note's $21,000. The monthly payment's $400 for the next 70 months. After that, they're going to own their home free and clear. This young couple that's working really hard together. After they own it free and clear, what can they do with $400 a month? Create stability, spend it in their local community, right? Popsicle index goes up for the whole neighborhood. The unpaid principal balance is $19,500, and I got it under contract for $13,000 for my mom to buy that, but she didn't have $13,000. I only put $1,000 in there, and then I added $2,000 more. There's only $3,000 in there. So, but if she had $13,000, she could receive 66 payments, and her yield would be like 29%. Not too bad for a small deal, right? Not talking massive amounts of money, but that's pretty decent. Step and repeat, step and repeat. So, she could have brokered it, my mom's IRA. You can wholesale it. You guys know that. You can wholesale property. Anything you can do with property, you can do with paper. You can flip it. You can buy and hold it. You can bring in a JV partner, right? Lots of things. I could have brokered it to someone who might pay $15,000 for it. And, well, I have my numbers wrong, don't I? That's a $2,000 profit. And that would have been about a 19% yield to the end investor if they felt comfortable dropping $15,000 on this little deal. I could, what else could I do? I could sell a front-end partial for $13,000. She buys the note for $13,000. She's going to sell a partial for $13,000. The investor who gives her $13,000 is going to get the next 39 payments at a 12% yield. They're pretty happy. They're about 50% loan to value there. And then my mom's IRA gets the last 27 payments, right? She has no money in the deal now. The partial buyer bought for $13,000, and at the end, she gets 27 payments of $400, so $10,800 with no money in. Is that okay? That's decent, right? Could you make $10,000 on no money? How many times would you like to do that? Would that be good? What else? How about, then this is what we actually did. I sold off a 75% undivided interest to someone who wanted to bring in $15,000. They get 75% of the cash flow, $300 a month. That's $10.5 to them for the whole 66 months. My mom gets 25% or $100 a month for 66 months plus the $2,000 up front. So she gets $8,600 on this little teeny note. Is that a way to supercharge a retirement even if you're starting with eeny-weeny little bits of money? So you gotta think like an investor, okay? And this is what matters. If you buy a property, how do you go backwards on this thing? Okay, let's say you bought it for $30,000. You're an investor, and I've met people like this, where they're so passionate about providing home ownership to people in their community, to create home ownership for people who are left out of the system. So they buy it for $30,000, they sell it for $60,000, they take $10,000 down, so they got this $50,000 note, but they need their $30,000 back to go provide home ownership to the next person. So that's where you, as a discounted note buyer, can help provide ownership and create stability all across the country while you're juicing up your accounts and you're making good returns. Is that good? Or is that good? Okay, they sell off the front end partial, they get their $30,000, they buy another house, and they do it again. This is how important this conversation is. It's literally can transform communities, our own communities, our own bank accounts. It's just like gardening, right? Gardening is good for your soul no matter what, right? Out in the sun, digging in the dirt. It's healthy, it's good for you. Also, the other benefits are it can feed you. You can barter food with your neighbors. I'm growing sweet potatoes. Well, my kale's doing good. I mean, there's a lot of community building and things that are much larger, okay? So here's another deal that I don't have time for, okay? This is a mobile home park note that I could have sold it, flipped it for $40,000, but I'd rather keep a piece of the cash flow. I sold off 15% of it, 75%, and I kept 25%. But because I'm selling it at a lower yield than I bought it, my yield is really good, really good. And if it pays off in the next 2 years like I think it will, there's that add-on discount. I'm going to get probably a $40,000 boost to what I put in it. Plus that $1,500 a month is nice, right? Goes a long way to buying groceries and Starbucks and things. Okay, and this is a lady that needed a loan, and I'm sorry, I'm already out of time. Qualities of a successful note broker: lead generation, build rapport. This is a job. You want to be a broker? Who wants a job, or who wants to be an investor? Do you really want a job? Okay, I thought I wanted a job, but I didn't get a job till I thought like an investor and started acting like an investor, okay? There's a lot of things, and I've got a great webinar on this, but there's a lot of things. It's a lot of work, and you gotta be really, really scrappy, and you gotta hustle, and you gotta know what you're doing, okay? There's a lot here. How to broker notes. Here's my one tip. What's it going to be? You already know what I'm going to say. Don't. Don't think like a broker, think like a buyer. It's much easier to broker notes when you have a portfolio and you already know how to close a deal. It's better to buy them and sell them off or sell off a partial, right? Broker is a job. You don't want that. Buy your first investment and you're going to find that you're going to transform your life. The parachute's going to go down. It's all about chickens. Okay? The story about chickens is, once I had chickens in my backyard, I paid attention to what was on the grass, because whatever the chickens are eating, whatever I put on the grass, it's going into the chickens, it's going into eggs, it's going into my body. But I didn't really put that together until I had chickens, okay? It's the whole system. Now, Henry Ford said this: "It is well enough that people of the nation do not understand our banking and monetary system, for if they did, I believe there would be a revolution before tomorrow morning." Okay, this is Wall Street and Washington, and this is a tapeworm. And it makes you want things that aren't good for you, okay? It's kind of like GMO. It's kind of like it wants you to consume things that are not good for you and not good for your local communities. It's like if you get a bank at the loan, they should say, would you like some fries with that? I mean, to me, a lot of what's happened in our monetary system right now, and you guys should study this. If you think I'm just a conspiracy theorist, it's because you haven't taken the time to study it. It's so important that you understand this is all genetically modified stuff, okay? So if we can create balance between us directly without the bank, right? They're taking our money. We need to behead this thing and get it into balance with the rest of things. If we can cut off the head of that thing and start dealing with each other, mom and pop to mom and pop, that is going to transform. Like private money, think of it like this: it's non-GMO, free-range money. It's really healthy for you, and it's healthy for the environment. Right? So, if you want to follow up on this conversation, please come over I have these virtual coffee calls. They're free to everybody once a month. And so I would love, it's a lot for me to try to do. I'm sorry I'm over time, but I got one portfolio of note to share with you guys. So just wait a second. This is a portfolio of notes that I hope you're going to like. Okay, so it's a note conference, right? So we're going to play notes together, right? And so obviously, I hope that I've put together this song about a bad note to teach you some things and have some fun. Because didn't I say if you're not having fun, it's so much harder to really create solutions and make a change in your life? But probably some of these notes are going to be non-performing. I'm nervous. I'm going to make some mistakes, but some of you will buy those, right? Even the bad notes? All right. All right. And don't be afraid to make a fool of yourself, see? I'm doing it all the time. Me and Tracy Chapman worked on this together. I really appreciate her input. You got a bad note, but I'll take a look at anything. Maybe we make a deal. Maybe together we can close this thing. A pile of cash is better. When you got the need, don't have to lose. Sell me those payments. Me, myself, I got money for you. If you've never been to a concert, this is like lighters, you know? The older people don't know what this is. You got a bad note, but I got a plan to get us through this. Been working hard on the 10B2. Managed to conceive just a few ideas. You don't have to sell it all. A partial might be the way to go. That way we both win. I get safety, you get more. Sure wish I had that water about now. See, here's where you got a problem. Took a small down payment, that's the way it is, then you're amortized over 30 years. At 5%, 550 credit, your senses went off and left you chasing the highest price for your property. Please don't blame me now, when half the balance is all I can do. Why are you offering me 50 cents on the dollar? Oh, because you made a bad note. You got a bad note. Is it bad enough that you just want out? You've got to make a decision. Take my cash or live without. I remember I was working as a nurse, blood and guts and everything worse. Then I fell in love with notes, said it's time to sow my oats, and I had a feeling that I belonged. I had a feeling I could be the queen, the note queen. You want me to buy your note. Time value of money gonna cost you most. What'll I get in 30 years? That payment won't buy Melba toast. You've got other offers. Yes, I hear those hints you're dropping. Can't pay that price, won't do this deal. Take your bad note and keep on shopping. So I bought your bad note. It ain't performing hard times like these, been working out a payment plan. Offered a mod or cash for keys, I know things will get better. They'll start paying, at least they'll try. We'll stay out of foreclosure. All I want is my ROI. I remember I was working as a nurse, blood and guts and everything worse. Then I fell in love with notes, and it's time to sow my oats, and I had a feeling that I belonged. I had a feeling I could be the queen, the note queen. So you wanna buy notes. You got a job that pays all your bills. You stay on Wall Street day after day, losing and risking more than you should. You know you should do better. You know you should go self-directed. Pick up the phone, go. Long's quest is best. He'll make you feel good when you get connected. Hey, small portfolio of non-performing notes right there. That's pretty valuable. Take bids. You got a bad note. Is it bad enough that you just want out? You've got to make a decision. Take my cash or live without. Thank you.
Well, it's amazing people's unique gifts and talents, isn't it? It's pretty incredible. So, like I said, Dawn and I have been a friend for some time now, and she has this great gift of turning her musical talents into funny stories about notes. I'll do that.